I am delighted and honored to introduce what's about to happen next. You know, in my many lives, one that started, my professional career started at Essence Magazine. And while I was there, I worked there many years. While I was there, I had the great good fortune to meet Lisa Price, who is an amazing creator. And she took her dream to create all natural, fabulous beauty products for us. Started in her kitchen and is a superstar today, and just as sweet and humble as she was from the first day. And I'm not telling you her story because she's going to tell you, and she will be in conversation with Julie Wilson. So let's have my great ladies, Lisa Price and Julie Wilson, to come up here and share the journey of building a business and selling it.
When I interview people, like, I like to keep it like funky fresh. Like, I want to get like real deep down, like, let's keep it real. And I know that's what you guys are here for too. I think a lot of people might think they know, or know a little bit about the story of Carol's daughter and your trajectory, but I think that there's pieces missing, and I really want to get into that. So, okay, so we know it started in a kitchen. Can you tell, like, what were you doing? Like, did you just wake up one day and say, I want to make these fabulous products in the kitchen and then sell them to my family and friends and at expos, and then now you're a global empire? But, like, were you working at the same time? Like, take us back to those, like, day one, not just the early days, but, like, day one.
Okay. So I definitely was working. I worked in television and film production. I started my TV career on the original Cosby Show. I worked on the last 2 seasons of that show. And then I did what a lot of people in that industry do who live in New York. We go from show to show. You work someplace for a day, you work someplace else for 2 years, and that's what I did. What I think happened to me is when I got into television and film production, I really loved my job. And the thing that job did for me, it was the first time when I had a job that I loved. So I liked to go to work. I never woke up and felt like, oh God, I don't want to go there today. I never had that feeling. So it was training for becoming an entrepreneur, but I didn't know it. And I started to experiment in my kitchen with first mixing fragrances and then adding those fragrances into products and cooking products. And I started with body, not hair, on my stove. I've always had super dry skin. And, you know, we're going back to the late 80s, early 90s. If anybody in the room is old enough to remember what drugstores were like back then, we didn't have many options. It was a jar of Vaseline. So I knew that there had to be something better. And I started to do that. And I did that for friends and family. And my mother just said one day, why don't you sell at the church flea market? And I said, sell the creams, like sell the butters? And she said, yeah. And I said, do you think people would really buy them? And she's like, yeah, they're good.
What was the first little turn, like, where you were like, well, this could be like an actual viable business? Like, I can actually start like doing this for real.
It took a while for me to sort of realize that this could become something where I wouldn't have to work and do Carol's daughter. But I guess it really clicked. Well, there were different moments that it clicked, but a woman rang my bell on a Saturday at 6:30 in the morning. And I'm like,
who said, mm-mm?
You know, so I let her in. I threw the key out. I
You
was
were
in
really
my
nice.
pajamas, and you know, but you start to realize that you're doing something right when they ring your bell at 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah. What was the next step? What did you do from there?
Well, the entire time that I was building the business, remember that I had the television and film production history. So I did have access to some makeup artists and hairstylists. So if an actor is on a show and that person has locks, they would reach out to me to get products for people. So I was fortunate to be in a space where there weren't that many of us at the time. So when someone needed something, they knew that they had to get it from Carol's daughter. And I had a lot of celebrity clients and followers who either got products directly from me or from other people, and they were very loyal, and they talked about me, and that buzz was out there.
Explain how the whole, like Steve Stout, Jay-Z, Mary J. Blige, Will and Jada, Smith, like how did they all, because they were definitely investors, and how did they push your brand to the next level? How did that happen?
So all of these people became investors in Carol's Daughter, but what it did for us, more than just the money, not that money isn't important, but more than just the money, it gave people something to talk about. So when you went to a beauty publication and you wanted to talk about this new brand, that publication might not have been aware of the healthy hair butter or the almond cookie shea souffle, but they knew who Jay-Z was. They knew who Will Smith was. And they would write about the brand from that perspective. Local Brooklyn brand gets, high power investors, and we could use that to leverage us and get us into retailers and get buzz going about who we were. Today, we don't have to rely on that for press. Now our press is about our products, which is wonderful. But back then, that would have been very challenging because at that time, mainstream publications were not looking at what is today multicultural beauty. They definitely were not looking at ethnic beauty.
Okay, so let's talk about your latest and greatest triumph, which has been L'Oreal purchasing the company, which is huge. It's amazing. It's such a milestone. And, anyone trying to build a brand, and now, I think you can call Carol's Daughter an empire. This is a globally recognized brand. Mm-hmm. So how did that come about? How do you feel about it?
So for years, I knew that the end goal was an exit strategy. And for me, it was, I need that exit strategy to be appropriate. I need it to be the correct next chapter. And if for some reason it ended up being the last chapter, I didn't think that would be the case. The story had to end well. L'Oreal and I actually had a conversation before that process began. We came across their radar, and someone just said, I want to talk to her. I want to know who she is. The bankers gathered us together, and we're going over how the meeting is going to run. And usually I'm the person who's in the room to do the warm and fuzzy and to tell the story and how it began in the kitchen in Brooklyn and my mom. And I was ready for that. I was ready for that's going to be my part. And then I found out in this prep meeting that the whole conversation was me. And when I walked into L'Oreal, I knew that was it. So the acquisition took place in November of 2014. And for me, it was and still is one of my proudest moments, because from that first meeting in 2012, that was just a conversation, to almost getting acquired by them in 2013 and them walking away from the table, to them coming back like, maybe we made a mistake, and then actually acquiring us. It was a journey of me getting my voice back, changing the trajectory of the brand, taking a huge risk and launching in Target when a lot of people said that we shouldn't, and doing it successfully. And it was just all of like, yes, I did it.
Thank you so much for that. And
Thank
she's
you.
still there. I think that's part of it too, knowing that she's still there. She is still at the helm of this amazing company, and she's still there voicing our concerns and our needs and like that sort of thing. So we thank you for that.
I'm explaining shrinkage to the French.
Yes. Shrinkage is real. So thank you for that. Thank you so much, Lisa.